Left-wing outlet Salon.com just published an article by a self-confessed paedophile in which the author Todd Nickerson calls for readers to be understanding and supportive of people who are sexually attracted to children. Nickerson is a moderator over at the Virtuous Pedophiles Forum, where he talks about drooling over pictures of underage girls. Other posters talk about whether a 6-month-old baby can consent to sex. Nickerson describes his lusting after kids as merely a different form of, quote, sexual orientation, while trying to portray himself as a victim of circumstance. So if we're to accept paedophilia as a, quote, sexual orientation, what else could be considered under that umbrella? Or necrophiliacs, people who like to have sex with dead bodies, merely expressing their sexual orientation. Or people who like to bash women in the head with hammers while raping their half-unconscious bodies, just expressing their sexual orientation. What about bestiality? The people who copulate with their dogs, just another oppressed minority. People who embrace apotemnophilia, deriving erotic pleasure from the removal of their limbs. Is that a mental illness or a sexual orientation? Just because it turns you on, that doesn't make it a sexual orientation. None of those things should be treated as a legitimate sexual preference. They're indefensible and morally abhorrent. But this isn't the first time that Salon has acted as an apologist for paedophiles. In 2012, they published an article entitled Meet Paedophiles Who Mean Well. So leftists are constantly calling for anti-feminists, men's rights activists, global warming skeptics and others to be, quote, no-platformed, while giving platforms to actual paedophiles. As Stephen Crowder writes, you'll never see Salon publish an article entitled, I'm a racist, not a monster. Or one with the headline, I'm a college freshman with rape fantasies, but I'm not a monster. So why this bizarre obsession with mainstreaming paedophilia? The fact is that some on the left have acted as paedophile apologists for decades, attempting to rebrand their sickness as something on a par with homosexuality. It's this insistence that just because someone was born that way, the rest of society must be browbeaten, not just into tolerance, but into outright endorsement. Leftist beat poet Allen Ginsberg was a supporter and member of NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. In the UK, the Paedophile Information Exchange was affiliated with the leftist National Council for Civil Liberties, which had direct ties with the Labour Party. The notoriously left-wing BBC played an integral role in covering up the Jimmy Savile paedophile scandal for decades. Just last week, when transgender Gamergate critic Sarah Nyberg confessed to being a paedophile, progressives leapt to her defence, characterising her as a victim. We also saw a similar response from the left in the case of Lena Dunham. So while paedophiles are certainly not all left-wingers, the defence of paedophilia does seem to be a preoccupation with some on the left. And that's because left-wing identity politics is underpinned by moral relativism. That's why feminists can ignore Muslim rape gangs while fabricating myths about a college rape crisis that doesn't exist. That's why gay rights campaigners wring their hands over a Russian propaganda law while refusing to address the torrid persecution of homosexuals in many Islamic countries. For the most part, progressives are morally bankrupt. That's why they resort to virtue signalling and slacktivism to disguise their tormented nihilism. If paedophiles truly want to give something back to society, it shouldn't be in the form of whiny opinion pieces published by major news outlets in the hope that we can support and understand them better. It should be in the form of a bullet to the head. That's the only action a paedophile can take that I will understand and support. Paedophiles, please stop wasting time trying to convince us all that you're a misunderstood minority. And please get busy killing yourselves. Check me out on Twitter at PrisonPlanet. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Joseph Watson for Infowars.com.
Network.